Hi, hello, welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Shannon. How you doing? Nice to meet you. I hope you're doing so very well. Today I am bringing you my top 20 thrillers that I want to get to. I have 10 that I own physically. I have 10 that are either on my Kindle or 2023 releases. So these are the 20 books that are at the top of my thriller list as of this moment. That could change in the future, and it might change because of a video coming up later on in the year. But without further ado, let's get into some of the thrillers that are on my immediate TBR. First book I have here is The Thursday Murder Club by Richard Osman. I have heard I've heard so much about this book. This is extremely hyped, and I feel like it's one of those cozy mystery thrillers. And it says, four unlikely friends and a shocking murder. Welcome to the Thursday Murder Club. In a peaceful retirement village, four unlikely friends meet up once a week to investigate unsolved murders. But when a brutal killing takes place on their very doorstep, the Thursday Murder Club find themselves in the middle of their first live case. Elizabeth, Joyce, Abraham, and Ron might be pushing AA, but they still have a few tricks up their sleeves. Can our unorthodox but brilliant gang catch the killer before it's too late? I have heard that this is witty, funny, smart, cozy. I've heard a lot of good things about this, and obviously it's sequels. So I picked up the first book. I have not picked up the sequels because I'm trying to do this thing where I only pick up sequels if I'm liking or have read the first book, instead of sitting with full series on my shelf that I don't touch for years. So once I read this, I will maybe purchase the sequels depending how I get on with this one. But I do have high hopes because this is really hyped. So I'm hoping that I get on board with the hype. The next book I have here is Dark Corners by Megan Golden. This is like a spin off companion to The Night Swim. I read The Night Swim on audio last year and absolutely adored it. So now we follow the main character who runs a true crime podcast in the second book, but it's a separate case. So it says Terrence Bailey. Oh, maybe if I. Yeah. It says Terrence Bailey is about to be released from prison for breaking and entering. Through Though investigators have long suspected him in the murder of six women, as his freedom approaches, Bailey gets a surprise visit from Madison Logan, a hot young influencer with a huge social media following. Hours later, Madison disappears and the police suspect she's been kidnapped, or worse. Is Madison's disappearance connected to her visit with Bailey? Why was she visiting him in the first place? When they hit a brick wall, in the investigation, the FBI reluctantly asked for Rachel's help in finding the missing influencer. Madison seems to only exist on social media. She has no family, no friends other than her posts. Most people have never seen her. Who is she, really? Using a fake Instagram account, Rachel Kroll goes undercover to BuzzCon, a popular influencer conference where she discovers a world of fierce rivalry that may have turned lethal. When police find the body of a woman with a tattoo of a snake eating its tail, the FBI must consider the chilling possibility. Bailey has an accomplice on the outside and a dangerous obsession with influencers, including Rachel Krell herself. Sounds good. I'm down for this. I really enjoyed the night swim. I thought it was so well done. So I am excited to jump in back into a thriller with characters that I already know and into a new case, which will be nice. I think I'm going to reread The Night Swim before Dark Corners comes out so that I can refresh myself on the character of Rachel Crowell and also read it in physical format because I listened to it on audio the first time. The next book I have here is The Girls by Lisa Jewell. I have only read one Lisa Jewell book so far. It was a 3-star average thriller. I don't need my thrillers to be 4 or 5 star. I just enjoy the ride that thrillers provide, and I'm okay with reading a thriller and getting rid of it if it's a middle of the road read. I do have high hopes that I will enjoy a Lisa Jewell book and give it more than a 3-star. So this would be the second one that I would be reading. You live on a communal garden square where your children run free. You've known your neighbors for years and you trust them implicitly. You think your children are safe, but are they really? Midsummer night, and a girl is found unconscious in a dark corner of the garden. What happened to her, and who is responsible? Sounds like your standard average mystery thriller, and it's probably more suburban because it's followed neighbors. I'm down. I will hopefully enjoy this. And also, I own this one. So this one is more of a immediate priority. But I also have a 2023 release by Lisa Jewell. So the 2023 release that I would like to read by Lisa Jewell is None of This Is True. And this follows a woman who finds herself the subject of her own popular true crime podcast. I am loving all this true crimes podcast things. I personally listen to true crime podcasts, and like once I read the podcast element in the night swim, I thought maybe I just like the trope of a podcast in something. So it says celebrating her 45th birthday at her local pub, popular podcaster Alex Summers crosses paths with an unassuming woman called Josie Fair. Josie, it turns out, is also celebrating her 45th birthday. They are, in fact, birthday twins. A few days later, Alex and Josie bump into each other again, this time outside Alex's children's school. Josie has been listening to Alex's podcasts and thinks she might be an interesting subject for her series. She is, she tells Alex, on the cusp of great changes in her life. Josie's life appears to be strange and complicated, and although Alex finds her unsettling, she can't quite resist the temptation to keep making the podcast. Slowly, she starts to realize that Josie has been hiding some very dark secrets. And before she knows it, Josie has wormed her way into Alex's life and into her home. But as quickly as she arrived, Josie disappears. Only then does Alex discover that Josie has left a terrible and terrifying legacy in her wake, and Alex has become the subject of her own true crime podcast, with her life and her family's lives under mortal threat. Who's Josie Fair and what has she done? Sounds great, right? Sounds really good. I'm more interested in this one than the girls just because I feel like with the true crime podcast element and it being a bit more fresh than the girls, maybe the writing will be there for me. But because I own the girls, I prioritize my physical books so bad. I am trying to prioritize the physicalness of the books that I already own. But this is definitely one that I want to get to because it sounds right up my street. Next, we have All the Missing Girls by Megan Miranda. I have not read anything by Megan Miranda, I don't believe. But there is a book coming out this year that I do want to read. So it's quite good because I'm looking at the new releases for 2023, new release thrillers, and some of them cross over into some of the backlist books that I want to get to. So my thought process is if I put their new release and the book that I own from them on a TBR of sorts, then it pushes me to try and read the physical ones before I pick up the new ones. We'll see how well I do in that. It says All the Missing Girls says it's been 10 years since Nicolette Farrell left her rural hometown after her best friend, Corinne, disappeared without a trace. Then a letter from her father arrives. I need to talk to you. That girl, I saw that girl. Has her father's dementia worsened, or has he really seen Corinne? Returning home, Nicolette must finally face what happened on that terrible night all those years ago. Then another young woman goes missing, almost to the day of the anniversary of when Corinne vanished, and like 10 years ago, the whole town is a suspect. Told backwards, day 15 to day 1, Nicolette works to unravel the truth, revealing the shocking secrets about her friends, her family, and what really happened to Corinne. This actually sounds really good. I am not mad about this, and also the fact that it's told day 15 to day 1, so it's like told in a reverse format, might just be interesting. This could be the catalyst for this to be book to be really interesting or really disappointing. So I will have to read and find out. The follow up to this one for the 2023 release would be The Only Survivors by Megan Miranda, and this says a mystery about a group of former classmates who reunite to mark the 10th anniversary of a tragic accident, only to have one of the survivors disappear, casting fear and suspicion on the original tragedy. I have read this trope quite a few times. I've enjoyed it. I do have another book on here that I think deals with the same trope, and I read The It Girl by Ruth Ware last year that I really enjoyed, that deployed this same kind of structure of story, returning to a tragedy that happened in the past with a certain cast of characters. So I have hopes that this one will be one that I really enjoy because it's something I've enjoyed in the past. But I suppose that could be like go either way because I've read it before. The next book is a recently acquired book, and it is Creep by Jennifer Hillier. I read Jar of Hearts last year by this author and was pretty impressed, so I decided to give her books another shot. Like, not another shot because I enjoyed it. I decided to delve into her backlist. That's what I meant to say. This one's about a psychology professor, Dr. Sheila Tao, and she's an expert in human behavior. So when she begins an affair with a charming graduate student, Ethan Wolfe, she's well aware she's playing with fire. Consumed by lust and riddled with guilt, Sheila ends their 3 month long fling when she becomes engaged to a kind and loving man who adores her. But Ethan has different plans. No one can have her. When a star student is stabbed to death, it's clear someone is raising the stakes of violence, sex, and blackmail. Before long, Sheila is caught in a terrifying cat and mouse game with Ethan. The lover she couldn't resist is now the monster who will never let her go. Dun dun dun. I mean, I think Jennifer Hillier is one of the thriller authors that goes there, kind of like Karen Slaughter. Well, that's what I've heard anyway. And reading her first book, it did go there. So I have hopes that this is going to be a thriller that goes there and just, does it. This also has a sequel called Freak, I believe. That's really hard to get your hands on, by the way, because it's super expensive, and I am not paying £20 for a paperback. I'm sorry. I'm a budget bitch. I am a thrift queen. I do not want to spend 20 quid on a paperback unless it's something that I am guaranteed to absolutely like a favorite author, a special edition, a limited edition. I will spend that money on that. But if it's something I'm taking a risk on, I'm not spending that kind of money on it. The next book I have here is one that I am probably going to buy in physical edition as soon as I can. This is Everyone Here is Lying by Shari Lapina. I have read every Shari Lapina book and I've had mixed results, but I have so much fun. I just have so much fun. These are like beach thrillers for me. Like I would take one of these books on the beach and just read it in a day and it would be a great time. So I will probably buy this one because I do have all of her other books and it would be like silly not to add this one to the collection. So this one is about William Wooler, who's a family man on the surface, but he's been having an affair that ended horribly this afternoon at a motel up the road. So when he returns to his house, devastated and angry to find his 9-year-old daughter, Avery, unexpectedly home from school, William loses his temper. Hours later, Avery's family declares her missing. Suddenly, Stanhope doesn't feel so safe, and William isn't the only one on the streets who's hiding a lie. As witnesses come forward with the information that may or may not be true, Avery's neighbour becomes increasingly unhinged. Who took Avery Wheeler? Nothing will prepare you for the truth. I have hopes that Shari Lapina will do right by me and give me, if not an average, an above average thriller, and that's all I'm here for. That's what I'm in it for. I will probably read everything she takes out just because I know that I'm pretty much guaranteed to have a good time. Like, none of her thrillers have been under a 3 star for me. None of them has been over a 4 star. They've been in that 3, 4 star region. I am fine with that because I read them so quickly. I have so much fun and I just find them highly entertaining. So I hope this one's going to be a hit. The next one I have here is When the Lights Go Out by Mary Kubica. This will be my first book by this author, but I have heard loads of things about her work. So in this one, we follow Jessie Salone, and she's getting her life back on track after caring for her sick mother, but she's stopped short when she discovers that according to official records, Jessie Salone died 17 years ago. Thrown into turmoil and questioning everything she's ever known, Jessie's confusion is exasperated. Exasperated. Apparently, I can't say certain words. Exasperated. Exaggerated. Jessie's confusion is exaggerated because I don't know how to say the original word, by a relentless lack of sleep. Stuck in a waking nightmare and convinced she's in danger, she can no longer tell what's real and what she's imagined. 20 years ago, another woman's split decision may hold the key to Jessie's secret history. Has her whole life been a lie? The truth will shock her to her core if she lives long enough to discover it. I mean, I own this. I bought this. I buy quite a lot of my books secondhand if I can. Just one, it saves pennies, and two, also like it saves them going to waste. Like I save money, the book gets a new home, and if I extremely like it, I may upgrade it in the future to a new form format, a new version. But until I know how I feel about a book, secondhand is totally fine by me. I save a lot of money. So the 2023 release for Mary Kubica is Just the Nicest Couple. And in this one, it says two couples, two close friends, one missing husband. Jake Hayes is missing, this much is certain. At first, his wife Nina thinks he is blowing off steam at a friend's house after their heated fight the night before. But then a day goes by, 2 days, five, and Jake is still nowhere to be found. Lily Scott, Nina's friend and co-worker, thinks she may have been the last to see Jake before he went missing. After Lily confesses everything to her husband, Christian, the two decide that nobody can find out what happened leading up to Jake's disappearance, especially not Nina. But Nina is out there looking for her husband, and she won't stop until the truth is discovered. This is one that I had my eye on as soon as it came out. I bought it on Kindle. I still haven't read it. I don't know if I'm trying to read the physical books that I own from the authors before I jump into their new work or how I'm going to do this, but I just know that when I was doing some research on thrillers that came out this year that I may be interested in, I realized that quite a lot of them had lapover with some of the thrillers that I already own on my shelf. And I thought, well, if I create a list of 20 thrillers, I can kind of split the difference. I could have 10 physical and 10 23 releases. And, if I get them physically, then they'll change over to physical books. But I just thought it would be a good way to mix this TBR up and not just have it as the TBRs on my shelves. The next book I have here is In My Dreams I Hold a Knife by Ashley Winstead. I should have read this a long time ago, but I didn't. And I've heard so many good things. Again, this follows like what is this? Reunion thing. Like something happened a while ago and now they're all reuniting. So it says six friends, one college reunion, one unsolved murder. 10 years after graduation, Jessica Miller has planned her triumphant return to the Southern elite Duquesne University, down to the envious whispers that are sure to follow in her wake. Everyone is going to see the girl she wants them to see, confident, beautiful, indifferent, not the girl she was when she left campus, back when Heather Shelby's murder fractured everything, including the tight bond linking six friends she'd been closest to since freshman year. But not everyone is ready to move on. Not everyone left Duquesne 10 years ago, and not everyone can let Heather's murder go unsolved. Someone is determined to trap the real killer, to make the guilty pay. When the six friends are reunited, they will be forced to confront what happened that night and the year's worth of secrets each of them would do anything to keep hidden. Sounds good. It sounds like something that I have read before, but it could take on a new twist. I've also heard great things about this, which makes me even more hyped to read it. So yeah, I need to get to this one, and I should have got to it when it came out. The next book should probably be no shock to anybody is Zero Days by Ruth Ware. I have read almost all of Ruth Ware's work. I have The Death of Mrs. Westaway is the only one I have left to read, and Zero Days. So I wasn't sure if this was going to be up my street, but because I have enjoyed Ruth Ware in the past, I thought I would give it a go. It says Mr. and Mrs. Smith with The Fugitive, about a woman in a race against time to clear her name and find her husband's murderer. Hired by companies to break into buildings and hack security systems, Jack and her husband, Gabe, are the best penetration specialists in the business. But after a routine assignment goes horribly wrong, Jack arrives home to find her husband dead. To add to her horror, the police are closing in on their suspect, her. Suddenly on the run and quickly running out of options, Jack must decide who she can trust as she circles closer to the real killer in this unputdownable and heart-pounding mystery. It sounds good. It sounds good. I'm not I'm not opposed to this. I just think like when a thriller is compared to Mr. and Mrs. Smith, that's not likely what I go to. I don't go to thrillers with a lot of action, I've realized. I kind of like the more psychological, like, mind fuckery books. So I'm interested to see if this has action and how I feel about it. And another book I should have picked up when it came out is The Last Housewife by Ashley Winstead. I did not read In My Dreams I Hold a Knife when it came out, even though I own it. And I didn't read this when it came out, even though I own it. But I am hyped for them because I've heard so many good things. This one is more about a cult, I think. While in college in New York, Shay Evans and her best friends met a captivating man who seduced them with a web of lies and the way the world works, bringing them under his thrall. By senior year, Shay and her friend Laurel were the only ones who managed to escape. Now, 8 years later, Shay's built a new life in a Tony, Texas suburb. But when she hears the horrifying news of Laurel's death, delivered of all ways by her favorite true crime podcast, Crusader, I mean, true crime podcasts and thrillers are a thing now, and I need to read all of them. She begins to suspect that the past she thought she buried is still very much alive, and the predator is more dangerous than ever. Recruiting the help of the podcast host, Shay goes back to the place she vowed never to return to in search for answers. As she follows the thread of her friend's life, she's pulled into a dark, seductive world where wealth and privilege shield brutal thoughts that feel all too familiar. When Shay's obsession with uncovering the truth becomes so consuming that she can no longer separate her desire for justice from the darker desire newly awakened, she must confront the depths of her own complicity and conditioning. But in a world built for men to rule it, both inside the cult and outside of it, is justice even possible? And if so, how far will she go to get it? This sounds great. True crime podcast, cults, like going back to try and solve something that has not been solved yet. This sounds great. I don't know why I haven't read it yet. So, following this same trend, I have another Ashley Winstead book. You might be thinking, Shannon, you haven't read her two previous releases that you already own. So, why would her 23 release be on your TBR? And I'll tell you, it's because I'm chaotic, and that's what you get with this channel. So, in this, we follow it's a southern gothic thriller about a killer haunting a small Louisiana town where two outcasts, the preacher's daughter and a boy from the wrong side of the tracks, hold the key to uncovering the truth. For fans of Verity and A Flicker in the Dark, they were both 4-star reads for me, so I'm cool with that. This is a twisted tale of murder, obsessive love, and the beastly urges that lie dormant in all of us, even the God fearing folk of Bottom Springs, Louisiana. In her small hometown, librarian Ruth Corner has always felt like an outsider, even as her beloved father rains fire and brimstone warnings from the pulpit at Holy Fire Baptist. Unfortunately for Ruth, the only thing the townspeople fear more than God and the devil are the myths that haunt the area, like the story of the Low Man, a vampiric figure said to steal into sinners' bedrooms and kill them on moonless nights. When a skull is found deep in the swamp next to the mysterious carved symbols, Bottom Springs is thrown into uproar, and Ruth realizes only she and Everett, an old friend with a dark past, have the power to comb through the town's secret underbelly in search of true evil. A dark and powerful novel like fans have come to expect from Ashley Winstead. I wonder if this goes into um like what's the word, speculative. I wonder if this stays like mystery thriller or if it goes into that speculative sort of, folklore. Is it going to be supernatural? Is it going to be real person? Very interested to find out. The next book I have here is Karen Slaughter's Pretty Girls. Everyone and their mother has read this book. I have not read yet. I have not yet read anything from Karen Slaughter, so I thought I would start with like the most hyped book that I have seen of Karen Slaughter. And this is A Missing Girl, A Hope Never Lost, A Killer Never Found. 20 years ago, Claire Scott's eldest sister Julia went missing. No one knew where she went, no note, no body. It was a mystery that was never solved, and it tore her family apart. Now another girl has disappeared, with chilling echoes of the past, and it seems that she might not be the only one. Claire is convinced Julia's disappearance is linked, but when she begins to learn the truth about her sister, she is confronted with a shocking discovery, and nothing will ever be the same. I think this is going to go into some dark and disturbing places. This was a book that I got recommended for being disturbing, for being dark, and for Karen Slaughter. So I have high hopes for this. I have high hopes that this will disturb the fuck out of me, and I'm here for it. The next book I have here is Just Another Missing Person by Gillian McAllister. I just finished reading Wrong Place, Wrong Time. I will be taking out a spoiler free review for that, so if you're interested, subscribe and hit the bell, and you will be notified when I take that video out if you're at all interested. But it came out 4 star. I was so shocked because normally I know when I finish a book what the rating's going to be. I close the book and I'm like, okay, that was 4 star. I had to put this book through Copile because I had no idea what I was going to rate this. I knew it was better than a 3 star. I knew it wasn't quite a 5 star, which, puts it in 4 star territory. But I just didn't know as soon as I finished. So I am interested to see more of this author's work and to see if I have that experience again. So in Just Another Missing Person, it says that 22-year-old Olivia has been missing for 1 day and counting. She was last seen on CCTV entering a dead end alley and not coming back out again. Julia, the detective heading up the search for Olivia, thinks she knows what to expect. A desperate family, a ticking clock, a long hours away from her husband and daughter. But she has no idea just how close to home this case is going to get, because the criminal at the heart of the disappearance has something she never expected. His weapon isn't a gun or a knife, it's a secret, her worst one, and her family's safety depends on one thing. Julia must not find out what happened to Olivia and must frame someone else for her murder. If you find her, you will lose everything. What would you do? I mean, after reading Wrong Place, Wrong Time, Wrong Place, I think this is going to be one of those that is very much chessboard pieces, just like the previous book I read. It's going to be like everyone's moving certain pieces on a board and none of it comes together till the very end. I am down to try this and see if I get the same experience that I did with Wrong Place, Wrong Time. The second to last physical book I have here is a new addition to my shelves. It's The Writing Retreat by Julia Bartz. I was instantly interested in this one because it follows a writer. So it says 5 attendees are selected for a month-long writing retreat at the remote estate of Rosa Vallo, the controversial high priestess of feminist horror. Alex, a struggling writer, is thrilled. Upon arrival, they discover they must complete an entire novel from scratch, and the best one will receive a 7-figure publishing deal. Alex's long extinguished dream now seems within reach. But then the women begin to die. Trapped, terrified, yet still desperately writing, it is clear there is more than publishing deal at stake at Blackbriar Estate. Alex must confront her own demons and finish her novel to save herself. This sounds like NaNoWriMo meets Slasher. And like that's all I need. Go write a novel in a month and try not to get killed by a maniac. I'm down for this. I'm hoping this is just gives me everything I hope it does. The next book I have here is The Soulmate by Sally Hepworth. I actually got this on a Kindle Daily Deal for 99p and it sounds really good. So it says it's about marriage, betrayal, and the secrets that push us to the edge. There's a cottage on a cliff, Gabe and Pippa's dream home in a sleepy coastal town. But their perfect house hides something sinister. The tall cliffs have become a popular spot for people to end their lives. Night after night, Night after night, Gabe comes to their rescue, literally talking them off the edge, until he doesn't. When Pippa discovers Gabe knew the victim, the questions spiral. Did the victim jump? Was she pushed? And would Gabe, the love of Pippa's life, her soulmate, lie? As the perfect facade of their marriage begins to crack and the deepest and darkest secrets begin to unravel. I mean, I'm down for like a bunch of secrets and a bunch of twisty turns. I have not read anything from this author before, but I have heard The Good Sister is really good, so maybe I'll add that into my reading at some point. But I got this for 99p and it sounds interesting, so I'm gonna go with it. The next book I have here is Home by Kayleen Steed. I actually got this from Granite Noir, and they are just lovely. They actually signed it um, disaster disaster day, and I just live for that. So I'm keeping this book forever, even if I don't like it. So it does sound promising though, and again, I believe this has cult tones. Someone has broken into Zoe's flat, a man she thought she'd never have to see again. They call him the Hand of God. He knows about her job in the cafe, her life in Dublin, her ex girlfriend, even the knife she's hidden under the mattress. She thought she'd left him far behind, along with the cult of the children and their isolated compound home. But now he's found her, and she knows she must go back to rescue the sister who helped her escape all those years ago. But returning home means going back to the enforced worship and strict gender roles Zoe has long since moved beyond, back to the abuse and the indoctrination she's fought so desperately to overcome. Going back will make her question everything she believed about her past, and risk her hard-won freedom. Can she break free a second time? A woman returning to a cult to try and break free a second time. Like, this just screams psychological turmoil, and I'm here for it. So, I hope this is great. And the final book I have here is another 2023 release. This is What Lies in the Wood by Kate Alice Marshall. And it says, they were 11 when they sent a killer to prison. They were heroes, but they were liars. Naomi Shaw used to believe in magic. 22 years ago, she and her two friends, Cassidy and Olivia, spent the summer roaming the woods. Imagining a world of ceremony and wonder, they called it the Goddess Game. The summer ended suddenly when Naomi was attacked. Miraculously, she survived her 17 stab wounds and lived to identify the man who hurt her. The girl's testimony put away a serial killer wanted for murdering 6 women. They were heroes, and they were liars. For decades, the friends have kept a secret worth killing for, but now Olivia wants to tell, and Naomi sets out to find out what really happened in the woods, no matter how dangerous the truth turns out to be. I believe this is going to be one of those that is like, innocent person gets, put in prison for the killing of 6 women, and it turns out to be someone that you would never suspect ever. Like, it probably going to be a child or something, but it sounds good, and I think I'm going to enjoy it. So that is it. That is the 20 thrillers on my most prioritized TBR at this precise moment. Will I get to all of these? I have no idea. I would really like to get to the ones that I own at the very least, but this is just the ones that have came up on my radar that, the 2023 releases that have sounded interesting that I want to give some, time to, and also the physical books on my TBR that if I'm going to give time to a author's new books, then I definitely need to give time to the backlist books that I already own. So let me know in the comments if you've read any of these. If you've read any of the 2023 thrillers, let me know what the top one you would recommend would be. If you've read any of the ones that I own, let me know where you would start. I would love to see your opinion and your recommendations down in the comments. Also, if there's a big thriller book that I've missed in my search of 2023 releases that sound interesting, let me know down below. And that is all I have for you today. Thank you so very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Remember to stay safe, happy, and healthy, and I will see you next time. Bye.